Hi everyone, greetings from Cologne. I wish I could be with you today. It would be my favorite thing to do to sit with other Concord enthusiasts and specialists and experts and discuss details about this wonderful piece. As it is, I have to mail in my comments, and I'd like to start with my origin story of the Concord Sonata. When I was 18, I went to New England Conservatory, started studying with Stephen Jury. He had a master's level Romanian student who, in a studio concert, every Sunday night we had studio concerts, she played the Concord Sonata. And I've never had a religious conversion experience, but that was as close as it came. I had been questioning a lot what my role in music was. I'd been questioning how I would go forward in this field and what kind of music I wanted to engage with. And a lot of those questions were answered that night. I spent a lot of the next 3 years learning that piece. I performed it on my senior recital along with the Wanderer Fantasy of Schubert. It's a big, meaty, beefy program. Obviously, New England Conservatory is not far from Concord. And some of the biggest moments of personal growth and development I can really tie back to that point, going to Concord, engaging with the authors and the legacy of Concord, Massachusetts. Just a funny little story. When I first was there, I walked from Concord Village out to Walden, and I somehow made a wrong turn, and I wound up sitting at what I thought was Walden with a battered secondhand copy of Walden, and it wasn't Walden. I only found out later. I felt the vibes, but it wasn't about Walden. So anyway, I won't go into details about how many times the Concord has touched my life, but it has. One story I'd like to share with you, when we moved to Berlin in 2002, with the proverbial shirt on our back, it took a while to get established there and to find our place there. There was a wonderful happenstance that a festival director, Matthias Osterwold, was putting together for the Berliner Festspiele, works of Ives and his legacy. And I happened to have that idea at the same time. I wanted to commission composers to write a piece about how Ives played a role in their lives. So I talked with Matthias about this, and we laughed about the funny correspondence of these ideas. And he enabled the commissioning of 7 pieces. Frederick Jeffsky, Michael Finnessy, James Tenney, George Flynn, Walter Zimmermann, Sidney Corbett, and Oliver Schneller. I played those pieces along with shorter Ives works in the morning, and then a kind of typical Berlin happening. Everybody got on a boat and went down the Spree River into the middle of nowhere. It was the former GDR radio station, and there was a 12-hour concert with orchestra works, chamber music, everything that one could imagine about Ives and his legacy. I played the Concord there, and it was that moment that I was able to have a foothold in Germany, which influenced my further career there. I want to just talk about Ives at the piano. There's a certain quality about this piece where you can really sense the corporality, the body, and the fingers and the hands of Charles Ives. I think a lot about Roland Barthes and his essay on loving Schumann, and he talks about a special quality of listening to a composer who can only really be heard through the fingertips and through the hands. And I think this is a special privilege of people playing Charles Ives as well, because I can really imagine Charles Ives sitting in his upstairs studio, pounding away, trying to find new techniques, trying to discover new aspects of the piano that had never been discovered before, and you can sense his hands. Obviously for me, a chord like this is an enormous stretch. My hand is not as big as Charles Ives. It takes a lot of effort to craft these chords into something which is voiced, something which is orchestrated, something which is communicative and speaking, and not just a monolith, not just a hit on the piano. I think this is a challenge for anybody with this music, but especially for those whose bodies are different from Charles Ives, because his physical constitution is very influential in the process. I think of moments like this, and he probably was up there trying that for a while and getting very frustrated, and then he went out to his woodshed and said, I need a piece of wood that just matches my forearm. And then this magic happened. So it's really wonderful to think about the person of Charles Ives and how he navigated the instrument, how he navigated crafting these new sounds. I benefited a lot from listening to different recordings of this piece, different performances, Stephen Drury, Gil Kalish, Herbert Henke, Pierre-Laurent Tamar. There's always different things to listen to and to gain from others' experience with the piece. But I have to say, I benefit in a different way than listening to Schnabel recordings of Beethoven. And I think that's because this piece resists codification, and it resists developing a stringent performance practice. Every single person who's mad enough to go into the process of learning this brings their own unique way of negotiating and navigating this musical material. And in the process, you are involved in a very deep conversation with Ives, which is wonderful. I hope it resists in the future codification. I think that's an essential part of its beauty and part of the transcendentalist tradition, that it can never be fixed down to any one particular interpretive meaning. So on that note, I'd like to leave you and wish you all the best in your further explorations of this wonderful piece.